All right, guys, welcome back to the JFL. We've got AFC preview. So, Earl, let's get it started. We're going to start out with Baca. Baca goes TJ Watt round one. 2 rounds later, he grabs Derrick Henry. Obviously, he wants to build a team with run defense and, well, just defense in general, defensive-centric team. Drafted a lot of defensive players early. But then, Derrick Henry, the focal point on the offense. What do you think about that?
I think he drafted really well. He came into the draft with a strategy. He followed that strategy, and I think he set himself up for a really good season.
I agree. And so we looked ahead at all the games that on Baca's schedule. We have a 12-5 prediction. He pulls a very tough division. He's in a division with Jaff. It's 2 almost impossible games a year. But with his style of play, it's going to frustrate a lot of opponents. He's going to be in control of the clock. I see Baca going 12-5. What do you think?
I agree with that. I think 12-5 is a good prediction. Maybe with a chance to get to 13-4, but I think 12-5 is a
pretty good
spot.
Pretty good for.
Yes.
I agree. All right, that wraps Baca. All right, next up we've got myself, Jaff, and so Earl. How did I do?
I think you had a really good draft.
Myles Garrett round 1.
Yeah, you go Garrett round 1, you follow that up with Chase in round 2. I really like that. You know, you get the edge threat and you get your number 1 option, your main threat on offense. How are you viewing your season going into the regular season?
I'm excited about it. In the past, I've always done a tight end attack, and so I wanted to switch things up on this one. I'm excited to see how Chase does in my offense. Very different offense from seasons past. Defense is always going to be the same. It's going to be about pinning my ears back, being in the lead, because I'm usually going to be in the lead, and so being able to just force people to pass the ball and get after them with a guy like Garrett. Season outlook, myself, I'm looking at it 17-0. There's a chance I drop one, but 17-0 looks pretty like a realistic expectation.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you've been at the top for a while, and so I think that's the expectation every year for you. So.
All right, we're going to stay in the AFC East. We've got Dr. Noah. Now, interestingly enough, after the draft, Dr. Noah grabs Mahomes, wanting to transition to this passing style. Had a change of heart. We had some blockbuster trades, a lot of big players on the move. He ends up with Lamar Jackson running a very Raven-style offense. So with Lamar Jackson, with Joe Mixon, those are his 2 studs that he's most excited about. How do you think this season will now shape up for Dr. Noah, having the identity of a run-first team?
I think that suits his style of play much better than the air it out, throw it all over the place style of play. So I think he's setting himself up for a pretty solid year.
Looking at his schedule, I've got him at a very, very respectable 10-7. He does have to play Drydish twice a year. That's not
It's always
easy.
tough.
He pulled Big If True first game of the year. That's going to be a tough game.
Yeah.
So I think 10-7, very realistic expectation for Dr. Noah. How about you?
Yeah, 10-7, maybe 11-6, just depending on how some of those user games go. But 10-7, very respectable season.
I agree. All right, we are heading down to the AFC South. We're going to start off with Mr. Tiki. One of the better defenses in the league year after year. He grabs Josh Allen. He's very excited about Josh Allen as a Bills fan.
Yeah,
of course. He's excited about Josh Allen. And then he's got Micah Parsons. Going to go with a very young, fast edge rusher. I think Kiki's plan is to be in the lead.
Yeah.
Use Josh Allen's playmaking ability to get guys open.
Mm-hmm.
Not the worst strategy in the world for Tiki, especially given how good his defense usually is. We looked ahead at his record, and we've got a pretty solid 12-5. That's above average. Tiki known to kind of lose his concentration later in the year and drop a game he shouldn't drop.
Yeah.
If he has his playoff spot secure, he's not really pressing that much. He's just going to play and have a good time. You think 12-5 pretty spot on?
Yeah, I do. I agree with that. I think his defense will be the main reason that he reaches that mark.
All right, so we got Kiki with a 12-5. Gonna be in contention for a top 4 seed, but that's a very respectable.
Definitely.
All right, next up we have the Big Tree. Now, coming back to the JFL after a little bit of a break, he grabs Chris Jones and Josh Jacobs, the 2 guys that he says he's most excited about. Again, another team wanting to stop the run, interior pass rusher, and then have one of the good running backs who can pound the rock. I've got him at a 13-4. What do you think?
I'm gonna say 12-5. I think he drops a game. Maybe he shouldn't. But again, 12-5 is a great year. Sets him up for a playoff run. So
definitely sets him up for a playoff run. And in the division he's in, he can afford to kind of take his time, get into a groove, because his division mate will probably drop a couple games. So
that's true.
12-5, very realistic record, battling for one of those top 4 seeds in a home playoff game.
Yep.
All right, next up we have Luke. Luke grabs Justin Herbert in the first round. He loves the Chargers. He picked him in the league. He grabs their quarterback. He turns around, he grabs Daniil Hunter, who I feel like has been on a Luke team the last 4 years in the JFL.
Yep.
So grabbing the quarterback and then the pass rusher, personally would love to see him transition to more of what Dr. Noah and Natty D were doing, but he doesn't seem interested in that. He thinks he's going to figure out the pass. I've got him going 10-7. What do you think?
I agree with that. I think there's gonna be a learning curve with trying to be that pass-heavy offense, especially with a young quarterback. So I think that's a good record prediction for him.
10-7. You're sneaking in the playoffs right there. You beat out 90D to take that number 7 seed. So 10-7 for Luke. All right, guys, and that is going to wrap up our AFC preview. Little parting shot here. Let's predict the seeding for the AFC. So I've got myself as the 1.
Yep.
I've got Drydas. He's going to come in at the 2 seed. I've got Jackson coming in at 3. I've got Kiki coming in at 4. And those are going to be our division winners. Some tough ones down here. We've got Baca at the 5. I'm going to give Luke the edge over Dr. Noah as the 6. Dr. Noah comes in as the 7.
Okay, mine's gonna be the same. I'm gonna flip Luke and Dr. Noah.
You think Luke squeezes in?
Yeah,
at the bottom. That's fair. That's fair. And if there's a head-to-head matchup, that'll be big time.
That will be big
for that game. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in to another JFL video. Tell your family, tell your friends, and we hope to see you on the NFC preview, and that'll be linked in the description below. So have a good day.